Hi, everybody. This is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the baseball head. Hope you like this video and subscribe. So we got a lot of information in this video for you, none of which, of course, is the manager's situation. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Mets, a lot of stuff going on around Citi Field. I'm going to get into this video. Here we go. So, as you know, they got the GMEs going on right now, and with the general managers are meeting in Arizona right a week after the World Series. I like that they meet right away, don't you? Get right into the meat of the offseason. But we have a whole bunch of stuff here. First up, I know it's all from Metsmerized Online. I don't like going through the main media and stuff. But here we go. The GM meetings. Headline, GM meetings. Stearns won't hire a general manager this year. New York Mets entered this offseason with many needs and positions to fill. Ain't that the truth? One of them was a manager, and the Mets had reportedly found their skipper in Carlos Mendoza, the former New York Yankees bench coach. With Mendoza at the helm, President of Baseball Operations Dave Stearns entered the GM meetings with his new manager set. However, and it's not official yet, I don't know why they just don't announce it. I guess they'll probably announce it next week, at the end of this week, and they'll have a press conference at Citi Field. However, there is still plenty for Stearns to address as the offseason gets underway. He spoke at the GM meetings on Tuesday. Some other news came out about front office moves. And here's a recap. The Mets won't hire a general manager this year. Soon after the Mets parted ways with Buck Showalter, they had an unexpected vacancy. GM Billy Epler resigned or fired or whatever after MLB notified the team that they were investigating Epler for misuse of the injured list. Initially, the plan was for Epler and Stearns to work together, but that ended quickly. Now the Mets need a general manager again, but Stearns revealed that they won't fill that role this offseason. Stearns said they have enough going on. He complimented the current front office and said that they are learning from each other and that they'll tackle that at a different point. Now, I would mention, the Mets have fired a lot of people. They've gotten rid of a lot of players, gotten rid of a lot of the front office. So this is a brand new front office in a lot of ways. A lot of well-paid people are out of here, which is good. Front office moves. One thing to note is Stearns brought in an old colleague from Milwaukee in the form of Eduardo Brazella. He previously was the vice president of the Brewers and worked in Milwaukee for 15 years. He will work as a vice president and special assistant for Stearns. Carlos Beltran, the once and future manager of the Mets. Beltran will also stay as a special assistant to Stearns, continuing the role he had under Epler. Now, Epler said that they talked to Beltran about being manager, but Beltran said because of his family situation, he doesn't want to do that. So people that have been clamoring for Beltran, you can understand some of these guys, they're in their 40s, and they have young families. I mean, people want to see, like, every random person that they hear about that's played for the Mets, he's got to be manager. Well, sometimes family comes first. Now, I would mention this was a thing that happened. I'm not too happy about this report. This is again from Metsmerized Online. Mets are expected to retain Jeremy Hefner as the pitching coach. I am not too enamored with that, folks, because the results 3 of the 4 years have been a disaster. The article says he had ups and downs, a lot of downs. A lot of years giving up a lot of home runs, a lot of years walking batters, a lot of years very high ERAs. This past year, we know the struggles of the pitching staff, in particular the starting staff, not being able to get out of the first inning without giving up runs. They were the 19th ranked ERA in the majors. It's just not good enough. You want to know why they only won 75 games? That's the reason right there. And obviously the pitching of Max Scherzer and a few others did not help. What else is going on? Joey Cora might come back. However, he might go to California with Buck Showalter if he gets the job. Doesn't say what's going on with Eric Chavez. I don't know if he'll be back. The word is that the Mets are looking at an experienced guy that's been a manager before. I've heard Phil Nevin, not too enamored with that. And I heard Gabe Kapler. I'm not enamored with that. They need to get a guy that's been in New York. That'll help. Obviously, we know that Craig Counsell is a skunk. He took the most money and went to the Chicago Cubs, even though they had a manager. Now, we mentioned about David Ross, who was the former manager and now was a part of that 2016 championship team. They made such a big deal when they hired him. What did they blame him for the collapse in September? That's not right. It's always on the players. It's always on them. No matter what happens, always remember that. It's not about who the manager is in the office. It's more about who the players are on the field. You have good players, you have a good manager. If you have bad players, you have a bad manager. Simple as that. And obviously, David Ross did a good job until September. And then this skunk Counsell came in and the Cubs basically pulled the rug underneath him. So that ain't right. Now, one of the things that Stearns mentioned during his meeting with the media, and according to Mesmerize, Stearns noted what the Mets needed to address this offseason on the field. He talked about the pitching and how the team needs it. He also spoke about run prevention. There are probably ways we can improve run prevention. Run prevention is certainly starting pitching, it's relief pitching, and it's defense. I think those will be areas that we'll pay attention to. The Mets will need help in the pitching department after the trades of their two aces during the trade deadline and then not coming to an agreement with reliever Adam Ottavino, who's already started his post-career situation. He was on SNY. Just another talking head of a player. Who cares? He's about as boring as Jerry Blevins, for God's sake. Players like Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Blake Snell are available in the starting pitching market. As for relievers, players such as Craig Kimbrell and Josh Hader are on the market as well. 3 of those 4 guys, stay away from. Yamamoto's the guy. And the Mets are getting back Edwin Diaz. They don't need Kimbrell, and I don't think that Hader would come here to be the number 2 guy in the Met bullpen. I don't think so. Now here, this last part, this is about the area around Citi Field. This was a big news story here in New York City. And this is a very interesting story. Again, Steve Cohen has been trying to get, actually for a long time, the Mets have been trying, and this goes back to the Lopons, they've been trying to create a kind of little sort of town around Citi Field. They want to have like a very warm kind of community there, to where fans can interact with the neighborhood. But there's been a junkyard there for 50 years, 60 years, that has occupied the area across the street from Shea Stadium and now Citi Field. The Mets and the city have been trying to get them out of there for years. And now it seems like they finally have come up with plans to make this finally happen. So this is from Mets. Steve Cohen unveils Citi Field adjacent Metropolitan Park complex. Steve Cohen on Tuesday shared plans for a total revamp of the area around Citi Field. Since Cohen became owner of the Mets, he wanted to transform Flushing. That started with the idea of building a casino nearby, but it since developed into a plan to bring a full-on sports and entertainment park to the area. The renderings for the plans were unveiled this morning. The complex will include things like 20 acres of public park space, hotels and conference venues, a casino, bars and restaurants, a renovated train station. Wow, that's pretty good. It's already been renovated around the area. A live music venue. Wow. Structured parking rather than lots. Wow. Quote, it's time the world's greatest city got the sports and entertainment park it deserves. When I bought this team, fans in the community kept saying we needed to do better. Metropolitan Park delivers on the promise of a shared space that people will not only want to come to and enjoy, but can be truly proud of. And this is really about what's going on in other places. The Braves have this. The Cardinals have this. This is we want to be able to interact with the neighborhood. You go to the ballpark and that's it. There's nothing there. Unless you have the tennis going on across the street and you got to deal with massive amounts of traffic. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to enjoy before the game. You just go to the game. That's it. One way in, one way. I mean, there's plenty of ways to get in and out of Citi Field, and even Chase Stadium. But there was never anything there to enjoy. You know, old Yankee Stadium, I don't know how it is with the new Yankee Stadium, but old Yankee Stadium, you can kind of walk around the neighborhood a little bit and go into the different shops and stores. You can't do that at Citi Field. There's nothing there. So hopefully they can do that. They can put a lot of it's great for business. It's great for business, and it just builds up the area because that part of where Shea used to be and Citi Field is quite disgusting. It's dirty. It's grimy. And back in the 80s and the 90s, it was terrible. You know, you fall in a pothole, I don't think you'd get out there for a week. It would be that bad. I mean, if you physically, I'm not talking about a car going in. I'm talking about a person going in. So, this is some very good stuff. But let me know what you think about this video, what you think about what's going on with the Mets, Citi Field, and everything else. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.